Today we are here with Aaron Futterman, Futterman, Lanza, and Pascoli. They are right in the center of Smithtown. So thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, no, it's great. I always love talking with attorneys, and there's so many different kinds of attorneys.
Yes.
You know? So I always love talking with attorneys.
Well, we like to say that we're the types of attorneys that help people. Because usually when you hear that I'm an attorney, I'm at a cocktail party, I usually get that groan. Like, oh, I have to wait, slow down. I'm not chasing ambulances, I'm not suing your neighbor.
Right.
We try to help people, and that's our job here. We
Okay.
sleep very well at night trying to do that.
Great. So Futterman, Lanza, and Pascoli, you guys have been in business for a long time. What do you guys mainly handle here?
Sure. I would say that although there's ancillary things to the three main things that we do, we help people plan to make sure their assets go to the right people, try to minimize taxes related to that, try to protect assets from being available if, God forbid, health conditions dictate the need for a skilled nursing home. So that's the planning side.
Okay.
Of course, sometimes that graduates to the second area that we do, which is Medicaid applications and getting people assistance, whether they're in the nursing home, whether they need help at home in the form of home health aides. And then the end of sometimes the life cycle is the client passes on and we help the family, the executors, the trustee administer the estate and make sure that they do their job, because it's a lot of responsibility.
Okay.
And it could be a thankless job,
Yeah.
a lot of work to do, and a lot of tasks to perform. And there's a lot of running around, whether it's to the attorney's office, the accountants. Our job is to help make sure that goes as smoothly as possible, and we give them resolution when their job is done and it's over.
So essentially you're helping everybody do the heavy lifting behind the scenes.
Yeah, they have fiduciary responsibilities
Right.
after someone passes, when you're a trustee or an executor, and that's a great responsibility. There's the tax man that's involved. You have beneficiaries who may be receiving things outright. Sometimes they receive things in further trust, and there's a continuing obligation for these people, whether they're young, maybe they're infirm.
Right.
There's a lot of responsibility, and it could go on for quite some time, even after an estate has settled. Trusts can go on for people's lifetimes.
Okay. So talk about the planning part a little bit.
So when people come to us, they usually have a couple of ideas. Mostly, I want to make sure my things get to the right people. That's, the simple stuff.
Right.
But just as important is making sure you have the right people to rely on if you can no longer perform certain tasks, whether injury, illness, maybe old age, and you're not as sharp as you once were. You want to have the right people in place to help you health decisions, help you with your finances, make sure bills are paid, the gas, is paid, the
Yep.
lights that don't get turned off.
Right.
And then, of course, leaving things to the family and to the right people. Sometimes it makes sense to leave things outright. It's easy. Sometimes it's, and we've been doing a lot of trust planning for children receiving inheritances to help protect the inheritance from creditors, maybe a bad marriage. The parents are always worried about, I want to leave things to my kids, but if they might get divorced. I would hate to see what I left them get swallowed up in some matrimonial dispute, and there's ways to protect and shield against that.
Okay.
We're doing a lot more of that, as there's a lot more litigation going on in divorce.
Yeah, I feel like there's a whole new era of, which COVID brought on the best of people.
Oh yeah.
And all of a sudden people realized they weren't a match when they had to stay in the house 24/7.
The percentage is now 56% marriages fail, so more than half. So it's something that's on people's minds, and there's ways to plan if it happens, and we want to make sure that the right people get mom and dad's the fruits of their hard labor during
Right.
life.
So really protecting the assets and not just from, say the tax man or that, but, sometimes there's other family members that could all of a sudden show up.
Oh yeah, I'm dealing with a case right now. This gentleman, he emigrated from Russia, and his only family, was a daughter that still lives there. And I insisted then, rather than use a will, which would require that this daughter be served with citation in Russia, because I said I wouldn't even have the foggiest idea how to serve someone in Russia, use a trust as a substitute, a fancy substitute for a will, so that we don't have to involve a judge, we don't have to involve a court, we avoid the probate process, which is always something that comes up in conversation, but really with the idea of making it easy, because really this man's plan was pretty straightforward. He had a house and a lot of other money. The house, he had a lady friend, wants to leave it to her. Mm-hmm. As far as everything else, to his daughter. It's going to work out, and it's going to be easy because I don't need to serve her in Russia. Once he passed, the successor trustee, his lady friend, immediately has the power to settle up the affairs. There's no claims or opportunities for distant family members who get invited who might object or contest. And that's really the main reason why we want to avoid probate, is we want to minimize the opportunity for these exciting, aggravating lawsuits.
Yeah, I know, and it does get, I know in real estate I've handled a few of estate properties, and there's always the one sibling that's like disagreeing with everything.
Oh yeah,
and can't move the ball down the court.
Yeah,
usually, and it's not always, but
yeah, what I've seen a lot of times is that when there's several children and perhaps one of them still lives with mom and dad, or mom or dad, therein lies the issue, because you have other children that have kind of married, moved on, and one had kind of stayed with mom, and now that mom has passed, the house usually goes to all of them. So you have one who is not expecting to move, probably has never, had the
feeling kind of deserving of
never had the responsibility of paying for it. And then he's got siblings who all are like, well, we just inherited part of this house and it's not doing me any good because my brother's in there and and then of course this sibling's got a spouse who starts chirping in their ear, didn't you inherit part of this house and your brother's there and how come he's not selling it? So a lot of times we'll speak with parents and explain the kind of exciting situation that they could leave when there are facts like that, and ways to make sure that their documents require that either the one that remains there buy out the others, or compel the sale and everyone splits it evenly, and siblings can continue to have good relations. Because one thing I always try to discuss with families is to make sure that they consider making sure that they don't leave a fight, which is the worst, and to consider all possible ways that might happen or might not.
Yeah.
It's fun.
How long have you guys been in business?
So we've been in business together as an office for a little over 20 years. We just celebrated our 20-year anniversary.
Wow.
We're pretty proud of it. I mean, and it's remarkable when I think about it, because when I first started about a quarter of a century ago, and I started out on my own, I was all alone. I didn't even have a secretary.
Okay.
And just, whether it's good luck, the fates, I've always had good people around me, and I've had wonderful success and luck with colleagues and employees and paralegals and associates, and we've built a real nice team, and we love it here in Smithtown. I live here in Smithtown. I can't say enough nice things. I'm always trying to eat here in Smithtown, so I'm a big Smithtown guy. And the only thing is sometimes it's a little difficult when I do go out to eat. I see so many people, that's a good question.
Yeah, because you're dealing.
As I'm eating.
Yeah, you're dealing with families all day. I mean, you must meet tons of people from Smithtown.
All the time. all the time. The only thing worse is that I've heard my dentist clients say when they're out to eat, they get people coming up with, I got a problem with this tooth. So I don't have that necessarily, but I get other kinds of questions.
I always get, how's the market? And I'm like, the food's great.
Yeah, so, we're thrilled to be here. We plan on being here for quite some time. People of Smithtown, and, they're the types of clients that, quite honestly, they're our favorites. They're, regular people that, they've worked hard. They have enough to worry about where it's going,
Right.
worry about protecting it and shielding it if, God forbid, they ever needed the nursing home. It's,
Right.
so listen, some of our clients, they have so much money, whatever. I mean, they don't have to worry about paying for help in the home or
Right.
help in the house. And then, we don't really have too many indigent people here in Smithtown. I mean, there's a pocket of, but they don't really have much to worry about, which is why I say most of the people here in Smithtown are, the type of people that come to us. They have enough to lose and they have enough to think about. And
Right.
you got to consider these things carefully while we're of sound mind and understanding and can make proper decisions and
Yeah.
plans.
So I think one of the big questions that I think some people have with all of this is cost. I know.
Oh, it's a big yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What does it cost to? And I know every case is individual.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's all these different moving parts to each person's
Sure.
estate. But I feel like to answer that question, the proper answer is what's the cost of not setting up an estate properly?
I like the way you phrase that. You're right, but I do get that question. What does it cost? And I'll just, before I answer what does it cost not to, I will say that we try to, unlike a lot. You hear lawyers and they charge by the hour. We kind of get a sense of what people are trying to do, and we like to charge a flat fee. And I like the flat fee, and the clients like the flat fee, mostly because you know what you're getting into, and I never want people to be frightened or scared to call me to discuss maybe things they're thinking about or reconsidering. I don't want them to feel like they can't call me because they're going to get walloped with some kind of bill. I would rather they call me and we get it right and everything's settled. But what's the cost of not planning? For instance, if you even don't have simple planning, a health proxy, a power of attorney, someone to speak with doctors on your behalf because you can't, someone to help you with your bills and finances because you can't, the power of attorney. If you don't have that and you lose capacity, injury, stroke, believe me, it's happened many times throughout my career. What we're then talking about is a guardianship proceeding, and which is a pretty serious affair. It's a lawsuit where usually someone in the family has to sue the incapacitated person, mom or dad, to have in Supreme Court a judge declare them legally incompetent, unable to handle their affairs, strip away, that's right, their rights to make their own health. And the judge takes that seriously.
So they're not doing it. They're not doing it on they're doing it on purpose, but for a reason, because they're trying to keep all that within the family.
Well, yes. I mean, usually, unfortunately,
It's not harmful.
No, it's a look. I mean, think about if someone said to you, "Look, your kids go. We're taking away Dad's right to make his own health decisions, his own financial. Judge, take it away from him and give it to me, his daughter."
Right.
I mean, the judge takes that serious like a heart attack.
Right.
And even when it's obvious, a head injury, 12 doctors are telling the court, the judge has to go through the procedures, and the procedures involve a lawsuit. And it's not fun, it's embarrassing, it's expensive, and quite frankly, it's unnecessary. Because all you have to do is think ahead, go to your attorney, plan ahead, get the right people in place. Usually for a married couple, it's the spouse.
Right.
The alternate, it's one of the kids. And I'll tell you something I've seen a couple of times, and I hope someone doesn't have this out there, and I've seen this too many times, and I've seen attorneys lead their clients into this, something like the health proxy. Mm-hmm. The two things that come up, someone had a procedure, they were asked to sign something at the hospital, and they think that that's good. Now they have a health proxy for all time.
Right.
It usually ends with that discharge.
Right.
So you named your husband, you named your daughter. When you leave after your appendix was taken out, it's over. Go to your attorney, get a new one done. The other thing is I've seen attorneys do this. When you make a healthcare proxy, parents always say, I want my kids. I go, well, you can name all the kids, but this is one document that you cannot name co-agents, because if you have 3 children or 2 children and you name them, and the doctor says, Mom is, not doing well, she's on the operating table, what do you think? And one says, Mom would want this, and the other one goes, no, Mom would want that, and the doctor's going, oh my gosh, there's a standoff.
Right.
You can name 17 different people, but it's always a pecking order, one at a time. And I see people walk into this. I've seen attorneys do this who don't focus in this area, which is a little dangerous. But
Okay.
power of attorney, again, you name the right people. If something happens, we don't have to go to court. We don't have to declare you incompetent. We don't have to go through that embarrassing affair, getting you into court, someone visiting, evaluating you. It's absolutely unnecessary. Get the right people in place while you can, and you're competent and of sound mind.
Right. How far ahead? Like, should I be calling somebody now?
Absolutely.
So I know a lot of people go, well, I'm not that old yet.
You know what the problem is with this? Is that when people come to see us, we're talking about them dying, we're talking about them getting sick, maybe needing a nursing home, where their money... who wants to talk about this? I'd rather watch the golf on TV or, go swimming, whatever. Who wants to talk about this? But, look, it's the adult thing to do. I have parents come in when their kids go off to college. You got to get that kid to sign a health proxy, power of attorney. They're in a different state, perhaps. You want to make sure, and they're adults, they don't have this in place. Something happens when they're away. You want mom and dad to be able to help out on these fronts. Mm-hmm. So when you're telling me a 55-year-old man, if you haven't done it, shame on you. Shame on you, because if something were to happen, and listen, we all drive on these roads on Long Island. Every day it's a little frightening. People are in a rush. I don't know where they're going.
Right.
But they're going somewhere very fast usually, and it's dangerous.
So it's never too soon to plan, especially if you have any type of assets.
Oh yeah. Even if you don't have assets, if you want to make sure that you got the right people surrounding to make health decisions for you.
Right.
Right? Some people, assume that, one of the kids would be fine, or the oldest, and then I've seen sometimes they don't have the nerve. They don't have the guts to make tough decisions. Sometimes life or death decisions. You got to talk to your family, talk to your friends. It doesn't even have to be family. It could be your friends. It just has to be an adult. You have to be an adult, 18 or over, to make it, and the agents have to be 18 or over to be an agent.
Okay.
So you want to get the right people surrounding you.
Okay.
And hopefully you forget about it. I always say we sign this and collect dust for a long time. Right. Or at least you're comfortable knowing, hey, if something happens, my son, he's got the health proxy. My daughter, she's got the power of attorney. Okay. Whatever it may be.
Very cool. How can, thank you very much for all that information.
Thank you.
How can people get a hold of you?
They can call 631-979-4300.
Okay.
They can ask for me, one of my associates.
I know your website is Trusted Attorneys. And
Attorneys.
I love that URL because it really speaks volumes. Trusted Attorneys.
Yes, to do this planning, you have to disclose a lot of very sensitive personal information, but if we're going to help advise, we kind of have to know what we're working with. I got to know the ingredients before I can make the stew. Right. So, there's a lot of trust, and obviously there's attorney-client privilege and it's confidential. Yeah. But in order to effectively plan for taxes, estate taxes, Medicaid plan, we got to know what's involved. So but it's all confidential and is trusted stuff. Yeah. And we take that serious. We do. We take our responsibilities very serious here. And there may be friends and there may be family that referred, and they are well, I kind of know what that. Well, I'm not allowed to talk about it. You can speculate all you want.
No crossing the lines with any of the information.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yes.
All right.